Hey everyone, Sam Signorelli, HOM Fencing. Welcome back to another edition of Can Haz Armory. Today, Sabre problems, because yes, they do have them. They are different problems than you have in foil and epee because of how the Sabre is put together. Let's go over them. Number one, Sabre, as you all know, does not have a depressible tip, no wire in the blade. It's a hunk of steel. When you touch your opponent's lame, power goes through and it fires. The circuit is the same as in foil. Power comes up the beeline, into the socket, and then in foil, it goes up the wire, into the tip, back down the blade to ground. Sabre, because it doesn't depressible tip, doesn't do that. It goes through the socket and back out. But you can't do the foil socket because the beeline is isolated by those little insulators. So here's a foil socket. If you look at the white parts right here, these are plastic insulators. The top one projects through the bracket, and the other one's a ring that fits around it, and it isolates anything in this socket from the rest of the bracket. You want that in foil. You don't want that in Sabre. You want to have a permanent BC connection here, so the only time power goes in the blade is when you've hit somebody. So how do we do that? Well, here's a look at my Sabre, and you can see where the bottom insulator is missing. Okay, so what I did was to take the foil socket, take it apart, and take the bottom nut off, and then the rest of the parts come off. The little washer comes off. The receiver comes right out, and then over that you have what's called a shoulder washer, which is this. Okay, it has a little ridge, so it engages the top of the bracket, then a projection that goes through it, and it goes through the bracket, and then this little ring goes around it, like so, and that isolates the beeline receiver from the rest of the socket. But what we do for Sabre is I might take the shoulder washer and I might shave it down a long way with a bench grinder or sandpaper, or I have a bag of other shoulder washers where the projection is just barely through that. Actually, it just stops just above the bottom edge of the bracket, and then I put that in. When I crank everything tight, because there's nothing projecting out the bottom, then the nut is in contact with the bottom of the bracket, and it forces that BC connection. Other people have done things like they put a wire on the beeline and then down under the bracket base to crush it between the guard and makes the connection there. Same thing in a bayonet socket. Wire goes from here under the bracket and then it gets crushed down. Or you might solder directly to the bracket. That's a bit of a pain in the butt. But that's how it happens there. The problem with using a wire or a paper, I've seen paper clips or anything of that nature, is they break. The only problem with doing the bracket, the way I do it, is it comes loose. Wrench, screwdriver, you're ready to go. If you put an unaltered foil socket on there, you will not have a proper circuit. It will never close. You'll have a continuous off-target light because as far as the box is concerned, the circuit's open because there's no connection. But you make that BC connection, it's closed, and the only time power goes in the blade is when you hit somebody. Okay. Another issue that happened to me, again, way back in the day. Fenced somebody at sectionals, remember those, and made an attack. He paired the blade. He was way down, nowhere near me. Box went off. How'd that happen? I don't know. He attacked me later on. Valid hit on me. Took attack later on. I took a parry, really bad one, and hit on the gear. Box went off again. I eventually lost the bout, and then I found out after I got knocked out what the problem was. Dummy me, as a rookie, I did not have an insulated pommel. I had a straight exposed metal pommel. So I took a parry, a bad one, mind you, and the pommel's in contact with my lame, hits the blade, goes right through there, fires the light like I hit here. Or you might have a little bit of tang sticking out in the back end. Having one of my students, same thing. He took a parry and he angled his blade and it was touching. It might be the edge of the guard. He might have if manchette's too big and it's touching the manchette, things going to happen. You have to make sure that no part of your system is going to do that to you. Because if your opponent's smart, he won't say a word. Like my guy didn't until after it was over. So those are some of the problems you have in Sabre. They're easy to fix. You have to know what to look for. Like I said, they're not near as complicated as foil or epee, but if it does cause a problem, remember I'm paying for it. As always, happy armoring.